Victorian era sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, at least two of those. Famous neurologist Sigmund Freud takes center stage in the new Netflix original series, Freud. In this series, he's trying his hand at playing Sherlock Holmes. As Freud works through his medical training in 1880s Vienna, he works to solve a murder that could be tied to a larger conspiracy. This is a dark series, and it really took the whole first episode before it even began to grab me. And that was only because of the mystery that was revealed right at the end of the first episode. I've got to admit that some of the mystery in this is terribly obvious. I mean, painfully so. Like, I was able to figure out who did a particular act way at the very beginning. The only thing I wasn't able to guess was the motive, and that's what kept me going. Freud is abrasive to pretty much anybody he comes in contact with. Now, he's super smart, but that's where it gets him into trouble, because as he is trying to solve this murder, he really does take on a Sherlock Holmes type of air to him. I mean, he's all about figuring out and sleuthing these things, and even takes on a partner who is kind of like the Watson, but not at all. In the show, Freud is obsessed with hypnotism. Now, whether or not that's actually true and him as a person really was, I don't know. And personally, I don't even care. But that is one of the driving forces in him as he tries to figure out how to hypnotize people. And do I run the clock in front of people? Do I touch them? What's the right way to do that? Along the way, he also establishes a relationship with a medium. And that's where that whole Watson-ish type of relationship comes in, because now he relies on the medium to help put the clues together. So he may be brilliant and he may be able to put a lot of the dots, but he also needs somebody else to kind of help him guide through this. Now, when you add that whole medium component to it, we're confronted with an option that plays out through the rest of the series. Is what we're seeing and what is happening part of the supernatural realm, or is it just psychosis, and is it neurosis, and it's part of the things that are going on in the brain, which Freud is examining the entire time through. I mean, he's a neurologist, and so he believes that there are a lot of mental issues that can be treated, not the way that they are currently being treated by medicine. There's a lot of doubt placed throughout the series. Is this in somebody's head? Is this actually happening? Is it part of supernatural, or is it all being imagined? And then to make matters worse, Freud is a cocaine freak, and so he's constantly taking cocaine, and you don't know, is that what's guiding him and shaping what he sees and thus we see? Is that his experiences? And then to top it all off, the episodes get weird and they become like dreamlike sequences, and they're kind of cool to look at, but half the time I don't know if what I'm seeing is true or not. I can't even trust my eyes anymore. And that adds to the mystery, that adds to some of the intrigue that goes into it. It also adds a little bit to the frustration, because as things happen and then they change, I don't know if that was lost time or never happened or what's going on. And with that, as we go in and out of these dream type states or these hypnotic type states, and just as the screen changes and it shakes and it shimmies and the outskirts of the field of view become blurred, and it really just, we get like a tunnel vision type of thing. I mean, that's part of the visuals that are in this, and they're done really well. And then you combine it with some really just creepy imagery and some gruesome imagery as well, and it sets this tone of unease. You're just unsettled as you watch a lot of this. And again, because am I a reliable witness to what I'm seeing? And one thing I found myself not really enjoying is that at different parts throughout the series, they repeat chunks of the story. I mean, the same visuals, the same everything. And I get why they're doing it, because we get to a certain point and then they add new information to that. I just, in that upfront part, I needed that to be shorter when they re-show it to me again and again. I just condensed that because I already know what's happening. You know, think like Groundhog Day. Okay, we get it. He wakes up when the alarm clock goes off. He goes through these things. The next day he wakes up, he goes through that. They begin to then condense that, and then you hear the alarm clock, and now he's on to his task. We don't have to see everything that led up to that part. That's exactly what's going on in this, just not to the same repeating level. There's a good supporting cast in this as well, and they all have their varying levels of issues, and so those play in a lot to the story. They all have pretty good chemistry as well, and they work well off of each other, even though sometimes they butt total heads together. They're just like oil and water, but that's exactly how they're supposed to be. There is this one constable that I absolutely love in this, and that's mainly because of his mustache. I mean, it is just this big old thick like brush on the side of his face, or on the front of his face really, and it's outstanding. But he is also probably the most level-headed person out of everybody on the show. That he brings some wisdom, he brings some calmness, and he's able to set some characters at ease and prevent certain things from happening because he is able to keep his level head. This show is definitely not going to be for everybody. It is slow at different times, and then it gets downright weird at certain parts. And because it's circling around Freud, there is a lot of sex that goes on in this. But that happens in the second half of the series, not at the first, which is typically odd because normally they put all of that at the beginning to kind of hook you in, and then they taper off. But this one did it the other way. The season's 8 episodes long, and each episode is about 45-ish minutes, so it is kind of an investment, but it is intriguing and fun. That being said, I did feel that the last episode kind of dragged a little bit because we reached the climax and then they keep going. And it was almost like they were trying to figure out how to wrap it up, but also in wrapping it up, provide an opportunity for a second season should they decide to have one. So if you enjoy dark mysteries or you're looking for a new crime drama to binge, this might be a good option for you. It's moody and odd and may have some historical accuracy to it. Who knows? It doesn't really matter though, because if you're enjoying the mystery part of it, then that's good enough reason to watch. There's a lot of sex and nudity, a bunch of profanity, some really gruesome imagery, and some sexual violence. I give Freud 3.5 out of 5 couches. So have you ever been successfully hypnotized? Let me know in the comments below. You're getting very sleepy. You're listening to the sound of my voice. You will like this video. You will subscribe if you have not. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. I'm also an idiot. Thanks for watching.